In this video, we'll go over simple if statements, multiple if statements using nested logic, complex multiple nested if statements using multiple columns, and some other cool stuff. Hey, if we haven't met, I'm the analytics dude, and I do analysis, tutorials, and discussions using programs like Excel and KNIME. If that's the sort of thing that interests you, please subscribe and check out my other videos. Okay, our first very simple use of an if statement with only two conditions. What we're going to look at is we're going to look at cash per hour. We're going to say above $250 an hour is a good collector, below $250 an hour is a bad collector. So how do we do this? We go equals, like any other formula, if, see if there, and since we want to select that, we hit tab, brings up our parentheses. So now we see logical tests. So our logical test is if the cash per hour is greater than 250, comma, then the value of true. What's our value of true? Is we said good, so the way you write text is in quotations. So open quotations, good, close quotations, comma, then value of if false. We said that's bad, so bad in quotations, quotations just like good, and then we close the parentheses, hit enter, and boom, bad, right? 250, really close, 250, but it's not there, so they're bad, and we copy it down, and there we go. Bad and good. Only two options. Next up, let's look at nested if statements. So this is if we want there to be more than two possible answers. So let's say over $300 cash per hour is actually an excellent collector. So we want to add that condition in there. So here's how we're going to do it. We'll start from scratch. Go equals if, hit our tab, then page over to the cash per hour is greater than $300, right? It's greater than $300 an hour. That's an excellent collector. So let's put in excellent. Now gets the hard part. This is why it's called a nested. So then we go comma, then the value of false. What do we write here? Well, there's two potential options still, right? They could be good or they could be bad. So we need another if. So if, same thing, hit the tab, cash per hour is greater than 250, comma, value of true. That's value of true if it's, basically what we're saying is it's less than 300 and greater than 250. And that person is good. Oops, can't spell good. And then comma, then value of false is bad. Close the quotations, and we need two parentheses closed this time because we have two if statements. And then boom, that person is still bad, which we know. Let's see if it works though. See that person right there. We have over $300 per hour, and they show up as excellent. Now you notice when I did this, I did it from the top down. So the important thing here is to remember, it is going to go with the first thing that meets the condition, report that back as true, and then it doesn't execute the rest of it. So if I had, for instance, if I had changed the order of this, instead of, let's show you. So that's our original, that's our original statement, right? If B250 is greater than 250, it's good. Well, let's say, now let's add if. So I gotta hit F2 to make it tab back over. If that is greater than 350, comma, excellent, close parentheses, comma, bad. Oh, yep, I forgot to have two parentheses, so let's copy that down. And look, this one comes back to good, is because 340 is greater than 250. So it says, okay, it's good, and then it never executes the rest of it. It never checks to see if B4 is greater than 350 or greater than 3. Well, that would be why also, because it's not the right number. Let's change that back to 300 and copy that down to prove to you it still works. Yeah, see, it says 340 is greater than 250. It's good. Never looks to see if it's greater than 300 also. Now for the complex version, where we're looking at multiple columns. Let's say we want to keep the same employee rating, right? The good, excellent, bad. But we want to add in a condition that if it's less than 1,000 calls, it's too small of a sample to read it. And we'll give them, I don't know, we'll say small sample size or new collector, something like that. Because we'll say, for whatever reason, it's unfair to judge them unless they have at least 1,000 calls. So how do we do that? This is the part where it gets interesting. So we want to do the calls part first, right? We want them to say, if the calls, oops, you got to hit F2 sometimes to get it to, so you can use your keyboard. If F2 is less than 1,000, then small sample, comma, so if it's false, so if there's greater than 1,000 calls, then we go into our other logic. If cash per hour greater than 300, comma, what do we type here? Excellent. How do we finish this? You go close quotation marks, comma. Next, what comes next? Think about it, think about it, think about it. It is another if statement. Cash per hour is greater than 250, comma, that person is good, close quotation marks, comma, and then finally, bad. Close 2, I think. Yep. Nope, I need to close 3. Whoops. All right, let's copy that through and see if that works. All right, so small sample, yep, less than 500 calls. Good, yep, more than 1,000 calls, more than 250. Excellent, more than 1,000 calls, more than 350. We got somebody, let's see, 270, but less than 1,000 calls. So what should they be? They should be small sample, right? Yep, and they are, and it works. And it looks like it works as we go through. Excel is great, and it's amazing that you can do something as complex as the multiple nested if statements. But as you can see, they get a little complex and there's really a lot of room for error. If that's the sort of thing you're doing on a regular basis, you're much better off doing it in either a programming language like Python or R, or in a no-code analytics platform like Alteryx or KNIME. If you've never heard of KNIME before, KNIME is a fantastic program. It is totally free, and I have a course on how to do data science and analytics without coding in KNIME, which for a limited time, probably the next month or so, if you sign up for my mailing list via the link below, I will give you free access to that class on Udemy. There are some other cool stuff you can do with if statements. For instance, you don't have to only use greater than or less than. You can use greater than or equal to, not equal to, and you can have it return a formula. So let's take a look at what that could look like. So let's say we wanted to understand how much cash was collected by people who had a qualifying sample. They had enough calls. So we go equals if, hit tab, and we know they didn't have enough calls if the column U right here says small sample. So we say if column U is not equal to small sample. Any ideas how to write not equal to here? A couple possibilities. It's actually a less than and then a greater than together. That's how you do it. Same as in some other coding languages. So if it's not equal to small sample, comma, value if true. So now we need to put in the total number of cash collected. So that's going to be cash per hour times the number of hours. So cash per hour is right here. We hit multiply, the little multiply symbol, little asterisk, times the number of hours. Where is the number of hours? Total hours, right here in column Q, comma. Now the value if it's false. So we said we'll just keep it small sample. No, you know what? Let's actually return a blank. If you remember from our index match video, how to return a blank is just two close question mark or close quotation marks like that. Let's close parentheses, hit enter, and look, it returned a blank. It should. It's small sample. Let's see if it works else otherwise though. Boom, it does. So it's good. It didn't return small sample, so it gave us a formula. That formula is the cash per hour times the number of hours, which coincidentally enough is actually column S. So it should match that, and boom, look, it does. Well, at least within the rounding error, this is set to dollars, where it'll just only show you 2. Those are actually equal, and to prove it, let's go equals that, which will turn true. Boom.